The sky wasn't supposed to look like this. It was supposed to be dark, quiet, predictable. Instead, it burned. Flames rose from shattered buildings, lighting the horizon in violent orange. Smoke twisted into the night sky like ghosts escaping the battlefield. The air smelled of metal, dust, and something far worse. War had already been here, and it wasn't done yet. Captain Alina Carter crouched behind a crumbling stone wall, her rifle steady, her breathing controlled. Her eyes moved constantly, left, right, rooftops, shadows. Every instinct in her body screamed one thing. Something wasn't right. "Alina, you seeing this?" Sergeant Jackson's voice crackled softly through her earpiece. "Yeah," she whispered back, too quiet. That was the problem. A war zone should never be this quiet. Her squad moved carefully through what remained of the village, 5 elite soldiers trained for high-risk missions. They had been deployed just hours ago under strict orders. Infiltrate, secure intel from an abandoned enemy outpost, and extract before dawn. Clean, fast, controlled. At least that was the plan. Alina signaled her team to halt. She raised her fist and instantly everyone froze. No one spoke. No one moved. Then she heard it. A faint metallic shift. Not wind. Not debris. Something deliberate. "Positions," she whispered. Too late. Boom. The ground exploded beneath them. A hidden mine detonated, throwing dirt, fire, and bodies into the air. Alina felt the shockwave slam into her chest, knocking the breath out of her lungs as she hit the ground hard. Her ears rang violently. Everything blurred. For a few seconds, she couldn't hear anything at all. Then, gunfire. Loud, rapid, relentless. "Ambush," someone screamed. Alina forced herself up, ignoring the sharp pain shooting through her shoulder. Her vision cleared just enough to see muzzle flashes lighting up the darkness from multiple directions. They were surrounded. "Take cover," she shouted, diving behind a broken concrete slab. Bullets tore through the air, smashing into walls, sending shards flying. Her squad returned fire instantly, their training kicking in despite the chaos. But Alina could already tell. This wasn't random. This was planned. "They knew we were coming," she muttered. Her heart pounded, but her mind stayed sharp. She peeked out, firing controlled bursts. One enemy dropped, another took cover. But more kept coming. Too many. "Jackson, fall back to point." Her words were cut off by another explosion. Closer. Deadlier. The blast threw her sideways again. Pain surged through her body as she hit the ground, her rifle slipping from her hands. Everything went dark for a moment. Just a moment. When her eyes opened again, the world had changed. The gunfire was gone. The shouting gone. The battlefield that had been alive seconds ago was now eerily silent. "Alina, move," she whispered to herself, forcing her body to respond. She pushed herself up slowly, her muscles screaming in protest. Her shoulder burned, blood soaked through her sleeve, but it wasn't fatal. She was lucky. Or maybe she was. "Team, report," she said into her comms, her voice strained but steady. Static answered her. "Jackson, Miller, Diaz, anyone respond?" Nothing. No voices. No movement. Just silence. A heavy, suffocating silence. Alina stood still, her chest rising and falling slowly as reality settled in. Her squad was gone. Dead or captured. And she was alone. For a brief second, fear tried to take control. It crept in quietly, whispering doubts into her mind. "You're surrounded, you're injured, you're not getting out of this." But Alina crushed it instantly. She had been trained for this. Conditioned for this. Fear didn't save lives. Action did. She quickly scanned the area, retrieving her rifle and checking her gear. Ammo limited, one grenade, combat knife still secured. Not ideal, but not hopeless. Her eyes moved across the ruins, analyzing everything: entry points, shadows, movement patterns. Think, adapt, survive. A faint crunch of footsteps echoed nearby. Alina dropped instantly, pressing herself against the debris, barely breathing. 3 enemy soldiers emerged through the smoke, moving slowly, cautiously. Their weapons were raised. Their eyes searched every corner. They're sweeping the area, Alina thought. One of them spoke sharply. Even without understanding every word, the intent was clear. Find survivors, eliminate them. Alina's grip tightened on her rifle. She could engage. Take them out quickly. But gunfire would draw more. And right now, stealth was survival. The soldiers moved closer. Closer. One wrong move, one sound, one mistake. And it was over. Her heartbeat slowed as she controlled every breath, every muscle. The soldiers paused just a few feet away. One of them turned slightly, scanning directly toward her position. Time seemed to freeze. Alina didn't move. Didn't blink. Didn't breathe. After a tense moment, the soldier turned away. They moved on, disappearing into the smoke. Alina exhaled silently, her body still tense. That was too close. But something about it bothered her. They weren't just searching randomly. They were methodical, disciplined, organized. This wasn't a chaotic ambush. This was a calculated trap. And then it hit her. They weren't expecting a squad. Her eyes narrowed. They were expecting me. A chill ran down her spine. This mission wasn't what it seemed. It never was. Alina slowly reached into her pocket and pulled out the small, slightly burned map. Her eyes scanned it quickly. The extraction point was miles away. Through enemy territory. With no support. No backup. And now, no team. Most soldiers would call it impossible. Most would wait, hide hope for rescue. But Alina Carter wasn't most soldiers. She folded the map, her jaw tightening. "No one's coming," she whispered. "So I move." She adjusted her gear, ignoring the pain in her shoulder. Every step would hurt. Every moment would be dangerous. But standing still, that was death. As she prepared to move, a distant explosion lit up the horizon again, followed by the echo of heavy vehicles approaching. Reinforcements. For them, not for her. Alina took one last look at the battlefield, the place where her mission had fallen apart, where her team had disappeared. Her expression hardened. "This isn't over," she said quietly. Then she stepped into the shadows. Alone. Hunted. But far from defeated. Somewhere in the darkness, something shifted. Watching her. Waiting. And Alina had no idea that this mission wasn't just a failure. It was the beginning of something far worse. The night closed in around her like a trap. Every shadow felt alive. Every sound carried danger. Alina moved low and silent through the ruins, each step calculated despite the sharp pain pulsing through her shoulder. Blood had started to dry against her skin, tightening her sleeve, but she ignored it. Pain meant she was still alive. And right now, that was enough. She stopped suddenly. Something wasn't right. The air felt wrong. Too still again. Her instincts screamed. Alina slowly crouched, her eyes scanning the ground ahead. Broken bricks, scattered glass, twisted metal. Then she saw it. A thin wire. Barely visible. Stretching across the path at ankle height. "Another trap," she whispered. Her jaw tightened. This wasn't just a search operation. This was a kill zone. She leaned closer, carefully tracing the wire with her eyes. It disappeared under a pile of rubble where a small explosive device was hidden. Not powerful enough to destroy a building, but more than enough to tear a soldier apart. They're funneling me, she realized, guiding her movement, controlling where she goes. Which meant they were expecting her to survive the ambush. Elena's grip tightened around her rifle. This was planned from the start. Slowly, carefully, she stepped over the wire, every movement precise, no mistakes. The moment her boot touched the ground on the other side, crack! A gunshot split the silence. The bullet slammed into the wall beside her, spraying dust across her face. They're already watching. Target spotted, a voice shouted in the distance. No more stealth. No more waiting. Elena moved instantly. She dove behind cover as bullets ripped through the air, smashing into the rubble around her. The enemy opened fire from multiple angles, controlled, disciplined bursts. They weren't panicking. They were hunting. Elena leaned out just enough to return fire, 2 quick shots. One soldier dropped instantly. Another pulled back. But a third moved fast, flanking her position. They're coordinating, she muttered. Her mind raced. Outnumbered. Low ammo. Injured. Fighting head-on wasn't just risky. It was suicide. So she changed the battlefield. Elena grabbed a loose chunk of metal and hurled it hard into a nearby alley. Clang! The sound echoed sharply. Gunfire immediately followed. They took the bait. Without hesitation, Elena moved the opposite direction, low, fast, silent. Her boots barely made a sound against the debris. One of the soldiers stepped forward, confused, weapon raised toward the noise. He never saw her coming. Elena struck from behind, swift and precise. The fight lasted seconds, silent, brutal. She caught his weapon before it hit the ground. Now she had more firepower. But the moment didn't last. Behind you. The last soldier had seen. Elena spun around. Both fired at the same time. Gunshots echoed violently. She dropped to the ground as bullets tore past her. Her shot hit first. The soldier collapsed. Silence returned once again. But this silence felt heavier. Darker. More dangerous. Elena stayed still for a few seconds, listening carefully. No footsteps, no immediate reinforcements. But she knew better. They're still out there. Watching. Waiting. Adjusting. She quickly searched the fallen soldiers, her movements efficient despite the pain in her arm. Ammo, extra mags, a radio. She grabbed it. The device crackled to life the moment she touched it. Confirm status. Team 3 down. Target still active. Elena's eyes narrowed. They're tracking everything. Then, a new voice came through. Cold. Calm. Controlled. This is command. All units listen carefully. Elena froze. There was something different about this voice. Authority. Precision. The target is priority 1. Female soldier, highly trained. Do not underestimate. Her grip tightened. They knew exactly who she was. No capture, repeat, no capture. Eliminate immediately. Elena's breathing slowed. That wasn't normal. That wasn't protocol. That was personal. Why me? She whispered. But the voice wasn't finished. She must not leave the zone alive. Failure is not an option. The radio went silent. Elena lowered it slowly, her mind racing. This mission, this entire operation, it wasn't about intel. It wasn't about strategy. It was about her. They sent us here on purpose, she realized. Her squad hadn't just walked into danger. They had been led into it. Set up. Betrayed. Before she could process further. Boom! A massive explosion lit up the night. The ground shook violently. Elena stumbled, barely catching herself against the wall. Her eyes snapped toward the source. Flames rose in the distance, high, aggressive, unstoppable. Her stomach dropped. No! That direction. That was the extraction route. The only way out. Gone. Completely destroyed. A low rumble followed as debris collapsed further, sealing the area. Elena stood frozen for a moment. No extraction. No backup. No safe exit. She was completely cut off. Trapped deep in enemy territory, with an entire force hunting her. For a second, just 1 second. The weight of it all hit her. The isolation. The danger. The truth. Anyone else would have broken. Anyone else would have given up. But not her. Elena slowly lifted her rifle again, her expression hardening. If they want me dead that badly. Her voice was quiet. Cold. Focused. Then they're going to have to earn it. She took a step forward into the darkness. Then another. Pain followed every movement, but she ignored it. Survival wasn't about comfort. It was about will. And hers was unbreakable. In the distance, movement flickered again. More soldiers. More weapons. More danger. But this time, Elena didn't hide. Her eyes locked forward, sharp and determined. Because now she understood something they didn't. They thought she was trapped. They thought she was running. But they were wrong. She wasn't trying to escape anymore. She was adapting. Hunting. Turning their mission into her battlefield. And somewhere beyond the flames, a deeper truth waited. One that would change everything. The fire behind her kept burning. But Elena didn't look back. She moved forward through the wreckage, deeper into enemy territory. No hesitation now, no doubt. Her mind had shifted from survival to understanding. Because something didn't add up. This wasn't just a failed mission. It was a setup. And she needed answers. A cold wind cut through the ruins as Elena approached what remained of an old communications bunker. Half collapsed, partially buried under debris, but still standing. If there was any place left with intel, it would be here. She slowed her pace, scanning every angle. Her instincts stayed sharp. This could easily be another trap. Or worse. She slipped inside. Darkness swallowed her instantly. The air was thick, stale. Dust floated in the faint beam of her tactical light. Broken equipment littered the ground, screens shattered, wires hanging loose. But then, a flicker. One terminal. Still active. Elena's eyes narrowed. That's not random. She moved toward it cautiously, rifle raised. Every step echoed softly in the silence. When she reached the screen, her heart skipped. It wasn't damaged. It was intact. Almost untouched. Like someone wanted it to be found. Elena hesitated for a second. Then she reached out and activated it. The screen glowed brighter. Files loaded instantly. No password. No encryption. Too easy. Definitely a setup, she muttered. But she kept going. Because she needed the truth. Her fingers moved quickly across the interface, pulling up mission logs, encrypted transmissions, most of it corrupted or wiped. But one file remained. Labeled. Priority Target Dossier. Elena frowned. That doesn't make sense. She opened it, and everything stopped. Her name appeared on the screen. Captain Elena Carter. Her breath caught. A detailed profile filled the monitor. Her training history, missions, psychological evaluations, everything. Even classified operations. Things only high command should have access to. Her stomach tightened. How do they have this? She scrolled down. Then she saw it. A line that made her blood run cold. Status: active target. Elimination authorized. Elena stepped back slightly. No. This wasn't enemy intel. This was internal. This was her own military. They marked me, she whispered. Her mind raced, trying to piece it together. This mission. The ambush. The traps. The direct orders to eliminate her. It wasn't the enemy hunting her. It was someone from her own side pulling the strings. Before she could process further, a sound echoed behind her. A slow, deliberate clap. Elena spun around instantly, rifle raised. A figure stepped out of the shadows. Calm, confident, familiar. Her eyes widened. Colonel Hayes. He stepped forward into the dim light, his expression unreadable. The same man who had briefed her before the mission. The same man she trusted. And now, standing here, in enemy territory, alone, clapping. Impressive, Captain, he said calmly. I didn't expect you to make it this far. Elena's grip tightened on her rifle. You set this up, she said, her voice low, controlled, but filled with anger. Hayes didn't deny it. Instead, he gave a small nod. Yes. The word hit harder than any explosion. Why? Elena demanded. Why send my team to die? Hayes sighed, almost like he was disappointed she didn't already understand. Because you were never the mission, he said. Elena's heart pounded. You were the problem. Silence filled the bunker. Heavy. Unreal. What are you talking about? She snapped. Hayes stepped closer, his voice still calm. You've been digging into things you shouldn't, Elena. Unauthorized reports, classified operations, patterns you weren't meant to see. Elena's mind flashed back. Late nights. Missing files. Strange inconsistencies in missions. Things that didn't add up. You knew, she whispered. Hayes nodded. And we couldn't risk you exposing it. We, Elena repeated. That one word confirmed everything. This wasn't just him. This was bigger. Much bigger. So you decided to kill me, she said bitterly. Hayes tilted his head slightly. Not kill, he corrected, erase. Elena felt her anger rise, but she kept it controlled. You used my team as bait. They were expendable, Hayes said flatly. That was it. That was the moment something inside Elena shifted. Cold. Sharp. Focused. You're not walking out of here, she said. Hayes smiled slightly. That's where you're wrong. Suddenly, click. Multiple red laser dots appeared across Elena's body. Her eyes flicked around. Snipers. Hidden positions. Watching the bunker. Waiting. You've been surrounded since you walked in, Hayes said calmly. Elena didn't lower her weapon. Didn't move. Didn't show fear. Then why am I still alive? She asked. Hayes stepped even closer. Because I wanted to see if you'd understand, he said. If you'd realize what you became. And what's that? Elena asked coldly. A liability. Silence again. But this time, it didn't last. Elena smirked slightly. A small, almost invisible movement. You made one mistake, she said. Hayes frowned. What mistake? Elena's thumb slowly pressed against something behind her back. The grenade pin. You came too close. Hayes' eyes widened. Too late. Elena dropped low. Boom! The explosion tore through the bunker. Chaos erupted instantly. Gunfire exploded from outside. Dust, fire, debris everywhere. Elena didn't wait. She moved. Fast. Through the smoke. Through the confusion. Through the chaos she created. Bullets tore past her as she sprinted out of the bunker, her heart pounding but her focus razor sharp. She didn't look back. Didn't stop. Didn't hesitate. Because now she knew the truth. This wasn't just survival anymore. This was war. Against her own. And she wasn't running anymore. She was fighting back. The explosion still echoed behind her. But Elena didn't stop. She ran through fire, smoke, and collapsing ruins, her lungs burning, her injured shoulder screaming with every movement. Bullets chased her through the darkness, tearing into the ground, the walls, the air around her. But none of them hit. Not yet. And that was all she needed. Survive the next second. Then the next. Then the next. That's how soldiers lived. That's how legends were made. Elena slid behind a shattered vehicle, finally taking a brief moment to breathe. Her chest rose and fell rapidly as she reloaded her rifle with shaking but controlled hands. Her mind was no longer clouded. No fear. No confusion. Only clarity. They tried to erase me, she whispered. Her grip tightened. Now I end this. A sharp sound cut through the chaos. Footsteps. Heavy. Confident. Not rushing. Approaching. Elena slowly raised her weapon, eyes locked on the shadows ahead. A figure emerged through the smoke. Unshaken. Unhurt. Colonel Hayes. He brushed dust off his uniform like the explosion had meant nothing. You always were difficult to kill, he said calmly. Elena didn't respond. Her finger rested on the trigger. Ready. You're surrounded again, Hayes continued. There's no way out this time. Elena's eyes flicked briefly across the area. He wasn't bluffing. Movement in the distance. Multiple positions. More soldiers closing in. But something was different this time. She wasn't thinking about escape. She was thinking about ending it. You're wrong, she said quietly. Hayes raised an eyebrow. There's always a way out, she continued. You just never expect it. Without warning, Elena fired. 3 shots. Fast. Precise. Hayes barely moved as 2 of his men dropped behind him. The third dove for cover. Chaos exploded again. Gunfire from every direction. Elena rolled out of cover, moving fast, unpredictable. She fired while advancing, not retreating, forcing them to react, to adjust. She wasn't trapped. She was controlling the fight. A bullet grazed her arm. Another slammed into the ground beside her. Too close. But she kept moving. Always moving. She reached a broken wall and leaped over it, landing hard but steady. 2 soldiers rushed her. She didn't hesitate. Close combat. Vast. Brutal. One down. Then the other. No wasted motion. No hesitation. Elena grabbed extra ammo from one of them, reloading as she moved again. Her body was reaching its limit. Blood loss. Pain. Exhaustion. But her will. Still unbreakable. She spotted Hayes again, pulling back toward a partially destroyed command vehicle. Trying to escape. No, Elena whispered. You don't get to walk away. She sprinted after him, ignoring everything else. The gunfire, the chaos, the danger. This was the end. It had to be. Hayes reached the vehicle, opening the door quickly. But before he could get in, a shot rang out. His hand jerked back. The door slammed shut. Alina stood a few meters away, her rifle aimed directly at him. Breathing hard, eyes locked. "No more running," she said. For the first time, Hayes didn't look calm. He looked cornered. "You don't understand what you're doing," he said sharply. "This goes beyond you." Alina took a step closer. "I understand enough," she replied. "You betrayed your own people." "They were necessary losses," Hayes snapped, "for something bigger than you can imagine." Alina's expression didn't change. "Then you should have told them that before you sent them to die." Silence. Heavy. Final. Gunfire in the distance began to fade as both sides slowed, sensing something was happening here. A standoff. A final moment. Hayes slowly reached for his weapon. Alina saw it instantly. "Don't." But he did. One fast movement. Two shots echoed at the same time. Then silence. Complete silence. Hayes staggered. His weapon slipped from his hand. He looked down, then back at Alina. Shock in his eyes. "You," he tried to speak. But the words never came. He collapsed to the ground. Still. Gone. Alina stood there, unmoving. Her rifle still raised. Still ready. Even though it was over. The man who betrayed her. The man who set her up. The man who tried to erase her. Was gone. But the war. That wasn't over. Not yet. Distant sirens began to echo. Helicopters. Different ones. Friendly. Real backup. Finally, Alina slowly lowered her weapon. Her body trembled slightly, not from fear, but from everything catching up at once. Pain. Loss. Survival. She looked around the battlefield one last time. Fire still burned. Smoke still rose. But something had changed. She had survived the impossible. Alone. Outnumbered. Betrayed. And she didn't just escape. She fought back. As the helicopter lights flooded the area, soldiers rushed in, but they stopped when they saw her. Standing alone. Surrounded by the aftermath. Like a ghost of the battlefield. One of them whispered, "Is she the only one?" Another replied quietly, "She's the one who made it." Alina didn't say anything. Didn't need to. Because legends don't speak. They're remembered. As the rescue team approached, she finally took a slow step forward. Then another. Leaving behind the fire. The betrayal. The war that tried to break her. But failed. Because she never gave up. Not once. Not ever.